Hey guys, we're here at the KTM Race Team Workshop and today we're going to piece together a maintenance video on Adam's 500 EXE. As you guys know, this bike has been through hell. We're going to highlight parts that need to be serviced frequently, and also we're going to talk about parts that need to be replaced by your KTM dealer at the scheduled service intervals. Not only is it the engine that requires servicing, but the suspension is just as important. Just like the engine oil, the fluid inside the suspension deteriorates, breaks down and wears the components out inside the suspension. Obviously Adam's an extremely experienced rider. He rides in all types of conditions and no doubt the bike does cop some abuse. So we're just going to feature a few key points on stuff that you guys can do yourselves and stuff that you need to take to a KTM dealer. Alright guys, the first line of defense for your engine is your air filter. So it's entirely up to the rider to keep on top of that, keep it oiled, always keep it fresh, otherwise your engine's done. These things are a great idea. These are Power Parts aluminium bash plate. Highly recommended for all types of trail riding, extreme riding. The last thing you want to do is get a rock through your crankcases and your weekend's over. With Adam riding this bike, it's copped a lot of abuse and it's obviously saved his frame, his crankcases. The bash plate has saved the bike from a lot of potential damage. So the recommended service intervals for the engine oil is 15 hours. These bikes are built for extreme racing conditions, and in Adam's case it's been put through all those elements: heavy sand, hot conditions, high RPM. The oil quality is extremely important. Don't buy cheap oils, because in the long run spending the money buying a good quality synthetic oil will increase the engine life. So the service intervals for the valve clearances is at the 1 hour mark, or your first service, and then it's every 30 hours after that. Now Adam tells us that he's never checked the valve clearances or adjusted them. And this engine now has 75 hours on it, so it'll be interesting to see how they're holding up. It's actually within spec. Well, surprisingly, the clearances are within spec, and I only put that down to one thing, and that's Adam always keeping fresh air filters. Replacing any parts inside the engine, we highly recommend to take it to a KTM dealer. We're about to remove the cylinder head, and then we can check the valves, the piston and ring wear, and see what condition it's in. It actually looks quite good inside. Surprisingly, it looks very good. Minimal carbon build-up. The combustion chamber in the cylinder head looks good. So let's remove the cylinder and see what the piston condition is like. Well, once again, it's not actually too bad. We'll remove the piston, measure everything up, and see where we're at. So I've just measured the ring end gap, and it's within tolerance. It's within spec, which is great. The piston skirt does have a bit of wear on it, on both inlet and exhaust, but once again, with this sort of abuse that Adam's given this engine, everything's totally within spec, and it's looking quite good. Due to the valve clearances that we checked earlier and physically seeing the cylinder head, I'm 100% confident to leave the valves alone, and this is purely due to Adam using good quality fuel and always keeping on top of his air filters. So moving on to suspension, as we said before, it's equally as important to service the suspension, particularly the rear shock, because it's under extreme heat, and as we said before, the oil deteriorates, breaks down, and the components wear out a lot quicker. This particular one of Adam's has done 75 hours of extreme hard riding. So with the suspension, it obviously moves very, very quickly, it takes big hits, big impact, and that generates a lot of heat, and you know, heat causes friction, and once again the parts wear out. So it's very important to keep on top of the service schedules, and this one's done 75 hours now, so it'll be interesting to pull this apart. Performing this sort of task is an absolute dealership only job, because it's a lot of specialised tools and a lot of experience required to make this job right. Yeah, well, this oil is definitely well used. It does have a pretty big effect on the performance of the shock. Even just changing the oil, Adam's going to notice a massive difference in the performance of the bike. As part of the service, the piston band and O-rings, they get replaced. So the last part of the service is the inline fuel filter. We recommend to replace it every 15 hours, purely because it's the last line of defense for the injector. You're out trail riding, pick up a bad batch of fuel from a servo, and the fuel filter will actually stop that from getting through and blocking your injector. Just signing off on today's video, guys. Just remember the 3 key things: good quality engine oil, good quality fuel, and always start riding with a fresh air filter. And enjoy the performance of your KTM.